use a variety of classroom labels throughout the day in my classroom. The first one that I use is when my students first arrive at school. We have time cards with their names and pictures on there. They are to move their time card over to their name, and that gives me an idea of who's here, but it also tells the student it's time to start working. They've come to school and now they're going to begin their work. So how they first start working in my classroom is at their daily office, and all of the students have their own office. It's just a study carrel, and I've labeled it as their office, again, to try to get them keyed into they're coming to school, they're going to do their work, they're going to do their job, so they would do their office work. Some of the other labels that I do have in my classroom are for their lockers, and this is of course where they're going to put their belongings when they first arrive into the classroom as well. And then if you look at the front instructional area of my classroom, you can pretty much tell when we start working on academics, our class rules are labeled so my students know what's expected of them. The common board is labeled. Pretty much everything again is picture word, and I have yes no boards that I use for visual supports. The calendar is labeled, which is going to tell us our upcoming event, our days of the week. Our CBI trip is coming on Thursday. My social skills is labeled. These are things that we're practicing currently for our social skills. Our feelings chart is labeled, class schedule. I also have my word walls labeled for science, math, and then I have a reading one across the room, and then our break area. And this is very important because the majority of my students do work for a break throughout their school day. So they need to know that this is the break area, and you'll see with the visual supports that I use, this is also on their token board, the same picture for the break area. So there's pretty much a break seat here for every student in my classroom, things that they would prefer to enjoy.
How do you teach them about how to use the labels?
Again, I would just start by modeling, explaining to them, with the picture and the word. This is break. This is, then direct them to the break area. The same thing with, when they check in the morning. When I first get students, 9th graders that come into my classroom, I have to model and show them, here's your picture, here's your time card. When you first get here, we're going to move it. So a lot of times that may require some hand-over-hand prompting at first, or some gestural prompting, or even some verbal prompting if they can just do it on their own and understand what I'm telling them to do. So at first it may require some prompting and modeling, but eventually the students, it comes as part of their routine. And the visuals supports are what make that happen.